Hey everyone, welcome back to Sheepers Podcast. Today's guest is Rocky Kramer. Hi, Rocky.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So, Rocky is a musician and he streams on Twitch every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Is that Pacific time or am I saying that right?
Yes, that is Pacific time. Yes.
Okay. So, what first got you interested in music?
Well, I come from a musical family, so it was just there's a lot of music in the house. So it's like in my blood. I didn't really choose. I didn't choose music. Music chose me. You know, so like my father was a first violinist in the Trondheim Symphony Orchestra, and
Wow.
my mother was a singer and a piano teacher. So there's a lot of classical music happening in my home, and then I kind of I started actually with classical music, and I started with the violin, and that's how I that was my first instrument, and I quickly realized that I wanted to be a guitar player instead of a violinist. So that's kind of how I became more interested in it because my father was a violinist. It was just sort of natural for me to play it,
Mhm.
but the passion was in the guitar. So that's what I just decided. You know what? I want to be a guitar player, and I'm putting the violin away. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Like I played the flute and that was
oh
in middle school. That instrument is really hard to play. People was like, "No, it's easy." I kept scratching up my fingers so my fingers had blisters all on it. I'm like, "I can
oh,
do this."
when you play an instrument, you can actually I shouldn't say hurt yourself, but it can be. I mean, as a guitar player, you're playing metal strings, and it actually, it can wear out your skin. It's very that's very
Wow.
common. So that's just a part of being a musician. It's the
Yeah.
sacrifice.
True, true. That's true. So what other instruments do you play?
I I like to play bass. I'm not really a bass player. I'm not a super fantastic bass player, but I love playing bass, and I enjoy every time I make a demo. I always play bass on it because I think it's fun. But so definitely bass. I play both electric and acoustic guitar. I want to mention that. I play 12
Wow.
string guitars. I played violin, and I occasionally play drums, and I love drums. That's really the first instrument I wanted to play. I wanted to be, a rock and roll drummer. But trying to convince your father to get a drum set when he's a violinist, it doesn't work very well. It was easier to get a guitar. Um, and yeah, we had two pianos in the house, so I just kind of naturally was used to playing piano. So I play a lot of keyboards too, which is fun. I love keyboards because you can really play any instrument on it.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
it's
true.
like all in one, which I think is awesome.
That's true. That's true. So, who are a few of your favorite your influences? Have influence.
Oh, I would say like early on was a lot of I guess like a lot of like 60s and 70s, like the Beatles and Pink Floyd, and then
Yeah.
it sort of moved on to more of the rock stuff like Kiss and AC/DC, and then
Mhm.
that turned into more like metal. There was like Iron Maiden and Metallica and Yngwie Malmsteen, Ozzy Osbourne. There was a lot of uh, you know, a lot of uh, a lot of music that was all put together long before I was born. I never really liked the stuff I grew up with, which was kind of it was when they considered rock to be dead, and they were
Yeah.
doing the grunge and all kinds of weird stuff, and I wasn't into that really. So I was like, I would go to the music stores or the CD stores and just find anything that was like old. It's like
Yeah.
1977, perfect, you know.
Yeah, right. Right.
so
That's what
so
I'm.
yeah, there you go. So it's just I really like that stuff, and it's something when you think about when you listen to something that was recorded before you were born, or maybe
Mhm.
like 50 years ago. It's really amazing to think about what they were doing back then, and it was a real talent. Nowadays there's a lot of talent is sort of created in the studio, but back then you had to really know what you were doing, and that's
Mhm.
what's the most impressive about those old bands. Like all the guys from the '60s and '70s, like they couldn't cheat. It was all like you had to know what you were doing because
Yeah.
you know it was either the real deal or you weren't gonna do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially
I feel like they paved the way for a lot of musicians. Like they really did.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I like getting record players and the playing records on there, like my music on record player.
There you go.
But
Yeah, that's the way. That's you know that's real music. You know when you listen to it on vinyl, it's something something special. Which my album Firestorm is on vinyl, which we just had to do it that way. It was important.
nice, nice. So can I get that like at the store now, like a FYE? I can go and buy your vinyl now, or do I have to
Uh,
order
you can definitely get it on Amazon. I don't know if you
it?
I don't know specifics of other stores, but you know
Mhm.
we always say like it's only available at finer music stores. So if you can't find it, then it's not a finer music store.
That's funny. That's funny. So as a musician, how do you feel the internet has impacted you? Like, how has it helped
Oh, you know, in one sense, and you know, I grew up. You know, the internet became kind of a thing while I was growing up,
you?
but my family did not adopt the whole concept of computers and internet all that much like right away.
Hmm.
So uh, I started out learning like music from you know from like a book or something, and then it sort of became oh you can look up a song on the internet, you can learn on the internet, and then it became like YouTube where you could watch people play, and you
Right.
could and of course there's all the you know there's the you know especially in the beginning there's all the illegal downloads and everybody's downloading the music for free, and now it's a
Yeah.
little bit different because now it's the streaming, which is kind of it's like a compromise, but uh, a lot has changed, and
Mhm.
I think it's good in one sense because anyone can put something up on the internet, and technically anyone in the world can watch it. So,
Right.
you know, especially when you're starting out and you're putting something on the internet and you get a message from somebody from Indonesia. It's like you're not thinking, well, I don't know how they found it, but they did. You know, I'm pretty sure I've had people from pretty much any country in the world has you know said, wow, you know this was cool or something, and I'm thinking there's all these people from all these places with very different backgrounds that have seen Rocky Kramer do something. So you know it's cool. It's cool. It's like you're it's like the difference between when you're a local musician playing at the same pub every Friday
Mhm.
night. It's like everybody in your town they know you, but now it's
Mhm.
like there's like one person in every town know you because it's you know because of the internet. So it's cool. I think it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's definitely different than like I love the '80s, and in the '80s there was no internet, there was no social media or anything, but at the so like there were fewer bands that you heard of,
Mhm.
but and then like everybody went to see those bands. Everybody went to see Bon Jovi. Everybody went to see, you know, Metallica or whatever it is, and
Right.
uh, and that's cool. But now you can kind of go see all these smaller bands, but that
Mhm.
also do cool things. So that's I think that's nice.
That's true. That is true. Like, I saw you on your Twitch and you was doing, I think, Nirvana. I think it was Nirvana.
Okay, yeah.
I saw you on there. I was like, yeah, I like this. That's cool. That's cool. So what do
Yeah.
you have coming up next Tuesday? Do you know? Or do you want to tell
Well,
us?
sure. It is close to Halloween, so I'm gonna do kind of a Halloween special with some Halloween related songs. I'm gonna definitely do Michael Jackson Thriller. Got to do that.
Yeah.
That's the number one requested for Halloween. But yeah, just anything. I know people wanted me to do Monster Mash, so I have to do that. And there's a lot of like Halloween or monsters or any like zombies or something related to something scary. I'll be doing a lot of
Oh,
that stuff on Tuesday, so it should be a fun show.
nice. I'm gonna have to watch
Oh
because
yeah.
I stream on Twitch too. So yeah, I'm gonna
Oh
have to watch
cool.
that.
Very
So,
nice.
can you tell our listeners what inspired your song Alcohol?
Oh, so alcohol is the I have to make sure I say the right thing. It's the third song on Firestorm, and it's a song that I wrote when I was 16,
Oh.
and it's really a song that I wanted to be interpreted differently than what it's really about, because
Mhm.
I've wrote it basically about what it's like to be an artist,
Mhm.
um, that's on stage, and you're kind of having that sort of interaction with the audience. This kind of like
Mhm.
a it's like an addiction. Like you're addicted to the audience, the audience is addicted to you. It's like alcohol. You know what I mean? You're
Mhm.
addicted to each other. But I wanted to write it more as a kind of a universal type of love song. Like if it's a love song to you, then that's fine. I'm your alcohol, you're my alcohol. That's fine. It can be as simple as that. But I like using alcohol in terms of something that is addictive, or something you love, because alcohol, it can make you feel good, but it can also make you feel bad, right? So it's and that's the way with relationships. They can be good, they can be bad. So uh, I kind of, every time I write a song, I kind of start with a simple idea, and then it just sort of expands into all kinds of things, and it becomes about more than just one thing. So, but that's kind of the basics of it.
Nice, nice. So, what advice would you give others who want to pursue a music career?
Oh, I would say that the most important thing is, figuring out what you want to do probably as soon as possible. If
Mhm.
you're young, that's the best time to say, hey, I want to be, whatever it is you want to be,
Yeah.
because it's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be
Mhm.
probably more work than you expect it to be. And
Right.
I think that when people think of pop stars and rock stars, they always think of them as they're always the guys in the music videos having a good time. It's always the guys on stage. They don't always think about the fact that there's a lot of rehearsals. There's a lot of time you spend off camera preparing for everything, and that's something you have to keep in mind, that it is actually a lot of work. So the
Yeah.
reward is actually being on stage. That's not really your job. Is not to be on stage. That's kind of the reward for all the actual work you put into it beforehand.
Right. Right.
Because once you're on stage, at that point you're ready to rock, and you know, it's at that point it's all decided for the most part. Even though when I do Rock and Roll Tuesdays, it is kind of spontaneous. A lot of things I do, but generally speaking, uh, you know, if you work hard, and
Mhm.
you let people see that you work hard, then
Mhm.
you should be able to make some noise.
Yeah, I agree. That's great advice. That's really great advice.
Thank you.
So, my last question. Do you ever get nervous performing in front of a large crowd? I know that's a dumb question because I know a lot of musicians, they say they do. The ones that I've interviewed, they say they do. So, do you ever get nervous
The-
a
the-
little
the-
bit?
um, I I think like I'm an AC/DC fan, and Angus Young, the lead guitarist, he always says that like he always gets nervous before the show, and
Mhm.
that if he stopped getting nervous, he probably wouldn't want to do it anymore. And I think there's a little bit of truth to that. There's I think of it as more of an excitement, but like every time
Mhm.
before a show, I'm kind of thinking, is this gonna go well? I overthink everything. It's like, oh my god, I mean, maybe it's gonna be terrible, and and then it kind of, you have to get ready, you got to get pumped up, and then it's sort of you go from being nervous to being kind of excited, and that's when you
Yeah.
go on stage. But definitely, my experience is that when I'm in front of a live audience,
Mhm.
it's like the first song is always the most uncomfortable one. That's the one you kind of have to get comfortable. It's like a new pair of shoes. You gotta walk a little bit before they're comfortable.
Yeah.
And as soon as you kind of, okay, it's okay. The house is not on fire. My hair is not on fire. It's gonna be okay. People aren't booing or anything. You're gonna get through this, and it always helps to see people. When people are going like, yeah, they're having a good time. That always helps. Which again brings back to like the alcohol. It's like I'm feeding off of them while they're feeding off of me. It's a
Yeah.
good interaction, being on stage like that.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to thank you so much, Rocky, for coming on my podcast today and chatting with me.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
You have a great day.
Hey, you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone. I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Rocky Kramer. So, I have linked his website to this interview. So, if you want to know more about Rocky and his music and Tuesdays with Rocky, he streams on Twitch every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time. So, he plays like various music, and he mentioned in our interview that he is going to be playing mostly music because of Halloween. So I hope you all check out his Tuesdays, Rock and Rolls Tuesdays with Rocky Kramer, and it is linked to this interview. Thank you all so much for listening to my podcast and for supporting my podcast. I hope you all have a great day and make great choices. Bye.